Something that you've talked a lot about is just your dad, and obviously he played a big influence in your career path and just your personality overall. Can you talk a little bit about how he has impacted your journalism career, and maybe a piece of advice that he's given you that's really stuck with you that you use on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, my dad is so specific and set in what he believes makes a good journalist, and I've done my best to follow his guideline as much as I could. Like, he's so adamant that that the basis of our craft is writing. So I went to English. I went to UCLA and was an English major, and I took the classes on Shakespeare and Chaucer and Milton, and I've done all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps. It really does. Like, being an English major isn't going to get you any job in the world, but once you're in my position, it really helps. So I've done that. I worked for a newspaper for 10 years. I'm not a fan. I come from the perspective of a journalist from the mid 80s who's not trying to kiss up to the team, who's trying to take on the team, who's trying to speak truth to power, like old school journalism. That's where I was raised. And I feel like he's a baby boomer. Right? It's a whole
Mm-hmm.
different generation.
Right.
And I'm not sure that Gen Xers did it the same way. I mean, they were more of like inventing blogs and kind of transitioning the old style journalism to I'm very old style. And it was funny is like the way I finally got my foothold was bringing all of my dad's old school sensibility to YouTube.
New school. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm
New
saying?
school
Like
way of
social media and
promoting.
Twitter. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, I've heard in a previous interview that you've done that your dad's your best friend. Obviously, you guys have a really great relationship. You're able to do a weekly show with him. You speak highly of him whenever you do talk to him. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of some of the advice? I know you talked a little bit about how he's kind of formulated how you view journalism, but what's a piece of advice that he's given you that you feel has made you better and helped you on a day-to-day basis with your new career and how you've taken it to the next level?
Don't be a journalist. That's what he told me when I was a kid.
Okay.
I'm serious. There's no money in newspapers, and there isn't. And I think we're both so kind of like giddy at the fact that we've found a new way to make money in this industry that doesn't involve newspapers. Like, I don't know if it's advice that he's given me. He's just reassured me that this is the way to go. Don't second guess it. Don't feel like you have to be validated by some type of promotion or some type of full-time job at a national place. This is the future. Believe in yourself and don't settle for some token handout from some radio station or TV station, something like that. So I really do appreciate that. I don't know what else. I can't think of anything else on the top.
That's okay. I mean,
yeah.
Is there anything you guys like? What do you guys argue about? Because it seems like so much you guys are on the same wavelength about so many things. What is something where you've had to like diverge from him on?
We definitely disagree on the whole Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance thing. He's old school. He watched Bill Walsh take his time with Joe Montana and Steve Young. And he's thinking under no freaking circumstances should Trey Lance just be given this. I think he also likes the idea of Jimmy Garoppolo too, a guy who's kind of being doubted. And you already know how I feel about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. So we definitely disagree about that, but we really, really respect each other and get along. And we don't have the type of relationship where we're trying to beat each other or win. So we'll have like a discussion or a debate, but it'll usually end up with both of us trying to see it from the other person's perspective. And that's how we usually do on our show too. We're very, I'm just so interested in his perspective, and usually vice versa, that if we do disagree, the more interesting thing is instead of trying to change the other person's mind, is to try to just understand the other person's perspective, I guess.
Definitely. And you can see how that's kind of bled into the way that you handle your channel and everything, right? You're always trying to learn. As
opposed to like the normal
try to win the argument.
Yeah, the normal Skip Bayless type show where people are just kind of trying to win and not really listening and yelling. We don't do that at all. And I feel like on my channel, there's very little like shouting at each other. There's actually genuine discussion, which I find to be much more interesting personally.
Right.
Like when I watch those shows in the morning, I just like, man, they're both like performing for the camera, and I feel like no one is smarter at the end of it. And I hope
Right. It's a
at the end of
gimmick.
our stuff, it's a
It's a
gimmick.
gimmick.
Yeah.
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 It sells though. I mean, those are some of the biggest names like the Skip
It
Bayless, the
does.
Stephen A. But
It does. But what's nice is it seems like the stuff that we do does well too. And maybe there's another way that can work.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm interested in seeing. So obviously, I know your dad and you have these riveting conversations about sports. How does your mother and your wife feel about around the dinner table? Are you guys able to speak about anything else other than sports, or is that just, are they sports fans as well?
We turn it off. We definitely turn it off. I think part of being a sports writer and having a successful marriage is being able to turn it off, because a lot of sports writers don't have successful marriages. A lot of sports writers get divorced and they're married to their jobs. A lot of sports writers never get married. And my dad was very good at turning it off. Like he would always take my mom out for dates on Fridays. They would go out to the movies, and they would always go on vacation. And if you don't do that, you're an asshole and you're going to get left. So what we do is we talk about other stuff. We talk about the TV shows we watch, or try not to talk about politics because that's never fun. But we talk about other things. And if we talk about sports, usually my dad and I will like go outside real quick. You know what I mean? We'll be right back. And then we'll, something that's been on our mind. But what's nice about the show is we get to have our conversation. We get to have and we just let everyone eavesdrop, basically.
That's amazing.
There's really no difference between our show and a call we would have on the phone, which is the whole premise of the show.
That's great. Yeah. And I think some of the things that you just talked about, you talk about any successful person that becomes obsessed about what they do, it makes it hard to kind of balance. And it seems like you guys have done a great job with the balance as far as father-son relationship, husband, wife, mother, son, all that kind of stuff, which is great to see. Definitely stuff that I think people can learn from, not just in journalism, but in life altogether.